Hey, everybody. Welcome back to 12 Days of PODMAS of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on PODMAS episode 12, the finale of the year. Hello, hello. Hope you all are doing well. If you have been watching and tuning into every PODMAS episode for this year, thank you. Thank you so much. And even previously, this is my third year. Yes, my third year doing this, and it's been great. So thank you for tuning in and being faithful listeners and watchers of this podcast. That is greatly appreciated. And again, thank you to the new subscribers as well as OG subscribers. Your support is recognized. So thank you again. If you have yet to subscribe, go ahead and click that subscribe button on YouTube and be sure to follow this podcast on Instagram and leave comments on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Let's get into these topics for our final episode of 2024 because I will not be recording any additional episodes for the remainder of the year after this episode. So let's get into these topics. So I want to talk about Walmart. Apparently, the Walmart here in Texas is now testing out a new initiative to ensure that the safety levels are better secured in Walmart. So what they're doing is they're testing out body cams on their employees. Because you know how Walmart is. Walmart is the ghetto version of Target. And honestly, the times I've been to Walmart, and I've gone there a few times ever so often for convenience or a specific reason, right? Maybe there was an item that I know is specifically there. I will go there. But every time I've gone there, it's just always been a scene or it's just a weird atmosphere. Like, just the environment doesn't feel calming and welcoming. I don't think it's just tidied up. It's not aesthetically pleasing. That's what it is. Maybe it's the color. Something about the color of Walmart, that blue color, I don't like it. It's not really engaging or captivating. Same with Kroger. Kroger has that same ugly blue color. Same with Randall's, same ugly blue color. Stop with that color. I think they need to have a whole rebrand. And I've heard the complaint or some critique saying that because Walmart has a lot of great deals and it, is known for beating the price or matching the price, and that attracts a lot of people who are impoverished. And when people who are in poverty are congregating, likely there is violence to come. And it's an unfortunate thing to say, but it's the truth. Historically, statistically, it is the truth. And we see that happen a lot at Walmarts around the world. So with this new initiative, what's happening here, because of the frequent fights that take place at Walmart, there is an initiative to test out if body cameras being placed on employees will help increase the measure of safety at Walmart. Now, let's take a listen or just follow along with me as I read this article from this report here. And this is specifically happening in Texas, in a Walmart in Texas. I don't know if it's all Walmarts in Texas or a few particular ones or maybe just one major one. But according to this here, it says some workers at the major retailer in Walmart are now wearing body cameras. Yes, body cameras. The same body cameras that police officers would wear on them, that is required for them to wear, because as we know, there's been just an unfortunate amount of a video record of police officers brutally killing and shooting and not de-escalating moments with civilians. So body cameras put on them was a requirement put into place recently, and it has caught a lot of just poor behavior. So I guess the intention with body cameras on employees at a Walmart will catch whatever poor behavior is being demonstrated at the time. I'm trying to understand, because these employees are not police officers. These employees aren't, just officials, right? They're employees, they're regular 16, 17-year-old kids. And a lot of employees at a Walmart are also of an older age too. So you have extreme different age brackets of employees working at Walmart, and now they're expected to break up fights or be a part of just physical brawls being caught on their camera, on their body camera now. I just feel like it's unfair that these employees have to be at the line of duty as if they're police officers. It's just the same with teachers now. You know how there's been more conversation surrounding whether teachers should carry weapons, armed forces on them to ensure students are safe just in case another school shooting takes place or anything else that is violent. So it's just unfair. Like, teachers did not go to school to become an armed police officer on the side while at work teaching their students about conjunctions. That's just weird. Anyway, at this Walmart in Denton, Texas, which is north of Dallas, the first employed by the retailer to sport the black and yellow body cameras, a spokesperson for the store told that this new and innovative technology is being tested in one market, and this will evaluate the results before any longer term decisions are made. Let's see. According to someone who spoke, Walmart will be using body cameras as an employee safety tool. The reports that back in 2019, this was introduced. This was introduced as a system designed to supply physician information to employees. Walmart launched in the area in an in-store tech services kiosk, yada, yada, yada. But there we have it. That is seeming to be the new move to ensure employees are safe. I don't know why this is like blacking out, but to ensure that employees are safe and that there is more measures put into place. And we'll see how this turns out. I mean, it's just unfortunate that I think Walmart needs a whole rebrand. Stop making things too cheap. If you want to change the rise of violence at a Walmart, you have to hike up the prices. You have to. You really do. It's unfortunate, but you have to not attract those who typically come with violent tendencies. And you got to change the color of Walmart. It should not be this ugly blue. I hate that stupid. It's just so ghetto. It's ghetto. I hate it. I hate it. Well, there we have it. Walmart may be enforcing this new policy, and their goal is to increase safety for their employees, which will in turn increase safety in general at the location. And we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so Fat Joe is under fire. Fat Joe is under fire because he has said some blatant comments or remarks regarding FBAs, aka Foundational Black Americans. And people are upset. Black people are upset. Not every Black person, but there are some who are, and they're making their voices loud and strong in these social media streets, particularly for movements such as FBA movements, which seems to be spearheaded by this man named Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed has a strong following, a popular YouTube channel, and his voice just impacts more young or older, just Black people in general, Black Americans in general, to fight against any attack towards foundational Black Americans. Now, those who may not be familiar with that particular label, FBAs, Foundational Black Americans, is basically any Black person with direct ancestry in America, or they're direct descendants of American slavery. And that is to be specified here because there are a lot of Black people, right? Black people come in different shapes and sizes and dialect, all these things, right? For me, for example, though I was born here in America, my parents were not. They were born in Haiti. So to Tariq Nasheed, he would immediately single me out because he has this aggression towards tethers. That's what he calls people like me who are not Black American in his eyes, because my direct lineage does not come from America. So I'm not a descendant of American slavery. If that makes, I hope that's making sense to y'all. It's a lot of talk and specificity around what's Black and what's not, what's Black American, what's not, what's African American, what's not. And even like a lot of foundational Black Americans, they don't even like to identify themselves as African Americans because they're so far removed from Africa that it feels disingenuous to who they are. And there are people who would say that, right? They will say, well, oh, you know, where you from? Where you from? Right. And then the person will say, oh, I'm from Texas. Okay, no, but for real, where you from? Okay, well, my parents are from Mississippi. Okay, but where they're from, they have roots in Georgia, right? They will just keep it specific to America. And it's not to say that they don't have potential. I mean, we all are technically from Africa, but a lot more people are more directly connected to Africa than some who are not. And those who are not, they identify themselves, if they do go about this terminology, they identify themselves as FBAs. Now, the controversy with this is it continues a divisive discussion between or amongst Black people, because ultimately, right, if we're being pulled over by a racist white cop, the cop is not going to specify, oh, you're a Black woman whose parents are from Haiti. I'll treat you fairly. But this nigga right here, this, you know, this and even me saying nigga, right? I think there's some things where it's just a lot of conversation about who can and who cannot. And regardless, I think if you're dealing with someone who's racist, right? If you're dealing with a white racist person, and I have to specify that because not every white person is racist, but if you're dealing with specifically a white racist person or a white Indian person, right? Anyone could be racist. But I'm just fixating on that point because that's commonly used as an example, right? So whenever a white racist cop pulls you over, they don't really see it as, oh, you're a different type of Black. They just see Black. You know, so Tariq Nasheed, he would often differentiate different Blacks. If you are not specifically a descendant of American slavery, then you're not a part of what he got going on. And he would frequently create content to just make fun of, bully, mock, I would say, as well, those Black people who he described as tethers. So it's just a lot. And it comes from a historical standpoint because it furthers the division between Black Americans and Africans. And oh, look at them, it others them, when in all actuality, again, if we're both stopped by racist people who are in positions of power, it doesn't matter, right? Jay-Z, to bring Jay-Z up, Jay-Z has a song that talks about still nigga, right? I can have millions of dollars in the bank or own so much asset. I could walk down so many red carpets, but to some racist people, I am still what? I'm still a nigga. So anyway, that's just a very interesting, it's such a long standing discussion that really comes to no resolve. Here we have Fat Joe, who is Puerto Rican, but he grew up in New York, right? And a lot of Puerto Ricans who grew up in New York, who had generations in New York, like their family lineage is specifically New York. Like seriously, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans whose identity is New York. They're actually called Nuyorican. That's how much New York they are. They're far removed from Puerto Rico. Fat Joe was one of those Puerto Ricans. And he is one of those rappers who he speaks as if he's a Black American, as if he's a Black man, and he gets away with a lot of rhetoric or language in particular that is typically in alignment with Black American rappers or Black rappers in general. Yet he gets a pass, Fat Joe gets a pass because he grew up in New York. And again, you have New York rappers or New York Puerto Ricans, Nuyorican getting away with murder because that's New York culture for you. Anyway, so Fat Joe came on a podcast and shared his disdain, to say the least, regarding Tariq Nasheed and his divisive language when it comes to foundational Black Americans. And he had a few choice words regarding this. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
These rumors were made by radical Black racists. Let's just say that. Okay, it's a group of these guys that don't want to hear Jamaican, don't want to hear Guyanese, they don't want to hear a Black guy that ain't down with them. Right. So their job is to criticize anybody who don't look like them or who ain't Black American.
Who are these guys?
You want me to say their name? We're going to give them too much clout.
I mean,
the FBA, Foundational Black Authority, whoever the fuck these broke niggas is. I'm just keeping it a buck. And that shit is to attack everybody on Twitter. You see this nigga who run them? Like, your leader? Oh, man, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. And so they trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York.
Right.
So they telling a whole nother story. This was whoopity doop wop. Yo, bro. These rumors were made by radical.
Okay, so he's getting into the topic of, or the debate of, who started hip hop. And I know the conversation was, it was Jamaicans. I think Busta Rhymes is Jamaican, and he was the one who said that. And that sparked a lot of controversy amongst Black Americans because Black Americans feel as if they are the ones who started hip hop. I'm not really much of a hip hop connoisseur, so I don't have much of an opinion on this, nor do I care to do the research necessarily. But here's what I'm trying to understand. I just try to understand the purpose, right? I think we get so caught up in the technicalities, and I think it stems from the hope and desperation to want reparations, right? And though that is not necessarily the problem, because yes, Black Americans are deserving of reparations, but I just don't know if that could ever be a thing to actually happen. That's one. But two, I feel like we get so caught up in, oh no, you can't get this, you can't get this because you're not technically this, you're not technically that, when in all actuality, like, if we want to go off of like just statistically, right? A lot of us are made up with other ethnic backgrounds. And because we all technically come from America, I mean, from Africa, right? That includes white people, Elon Musk, right? I mean, the list goes on. It's just like, how can we get to a place where it's not divisive, or conversations like this do not get us to a place where we're calling Africans booty scratchers, right? Like, we're fighting amongst ourselves, and I just think that's such an ugly thing. And we're just doing the white racists a favor. We're doing them a favor. We're giving them a leg up because, hey, now we're brainwashed into fighting amongst each other rather than fighting against other groups of people who have historically been against us, who have historically attacked us in different ways, whether that's through business, through politics, through through real estate, right? There's so many ways other groups of people have sought to fight against us, and yet we're fighting amongst ourselves. And that's what I find to be very disturbing. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of non-American Black people who have been giving, or who have been falling for the propaganda of what Black Americans are all about because of what the media has spewed to them regarding Black Americans. So I don't know, you could necessarily fault them for it entirely, but there is that division before it even becomes into totality, because they're fed this image of what Black Americans are all about. They come into, they emigrate to America, and then they whenever they meet or is in the proximity of Black Americans, they have these preconceived notions. They have these judgments, and they think, oh, the media, the stereotypes that we see of Black Americans, they're all true. So it's just a lot. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. But I don't think it's helpful to immediately create this language of division and this movement of division. And I do recognize that Tariq Nasheed, though I do like some of the things that he say, I do. Some things that he say, I'm just like, oh, interesting. You just like with anything, you gotta a la carte. You gotta a la carte it. Like, I don't agree with everything that anyone says, but I like some things. Some things I'm like, quite fascinating. So yeah, I mean, there we have it. People feel as if Fat Joe has no place to speak on this topic, and how dare he call. And that's the thing, people were saying Fat Joe was calling Black people in general dusty and broke and all these things. I'm like, hold on, let me watch this clip, because I don't think he would do that, especially to the face of a Black man on his platform. Like, that just sounds crazy. So when I watched this clip, I realized what he was saying. He's calling out Tariq Nasheed. He's calling out this movement of foundational Black Americans who specifically speak in languages that is divisive, who create this movement of division amongst Black people, and he's calling that out, recognizing that this is not okay. And I think that is what's dusty behavior. That is what's broke behavior. So technically, I don't disagree with what Fat Joe is saying. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had, though him being the messenger for it may not be the best way to go about it, just because he's not Black. And it's like, at this point, what is Black? What is a woman? We stopped asking that question. Now, what is Black? Right? If he identifies as Black at this point, damn it, so be it. So be it. But no, technically, I agree with what Fat Joe is saying, but he may not be the best messenger to say it. Okay, Biden decided to continue to go out with a bang. He has recently pardoned, apparently he was already pardoned, but he pardoned the BMF co-founder Terry Southwest T. Flannery, who is the brother of Big Meech. And he was originally sentenced to 30 years in prison back in 2008, but now he is a free man officially. Terry Flannery is known for his Black Mafia family, BMF, alongside his brother Demetrius Big Meech Flannery back in 1985, Detroit. And each of them were sentenced to 30 years in prison. I remember just a few months ago, it was reported that Big Meech has been released as well. So, I mean, okay, like I don't see what the issue is. I think if you do the time, let them be released. I don't see what the issue is. He and his brother, let me see. Terry was released on house arrest to finish off his sentence in 2020 during the pandemic, while his brother was released to a halfway house where he'll be serving out the remainder of his sentence with a projected release date of January 27th, 2026. Sounds good to me. I mean, it doesn't. I don't see what the big issue is. I know some people are like, oh, there goes Biden being. Look, Biden, I really agree with him entirely, but I feel like people don't recognize that, okay, you could do your time and you could be released. People want people to be in jail forever, to be in prison forever. No, I will never move on from what you did 30 years ago. We have to let people be released. Like, we have to create space. We have to create space for the next criminal who wants to do a crime. I'm being dead ass. I feel like it's just, we have to create space. It's not enough room. There's not enough room. There's not enough prisons, right? We got to privatize our prisons. But no, I think, look, you do your time. You should be able to get released and not get this campaign set against you to go back to prison. What's the point of having these sentences and being mad when you complete your sentence? Or if you complete it earlier than expected, than the original date, because of various reasons. People like to say good behavior is not even like to say, it's been done many times in which good behavior is the reason behind someone being released early from their sentence. Okay, like that's the system. That's the system. And I'm still waiting to hear when the Menendez brothers are being released. Let people go. Let people get out. Let people get out of jail. All right. That is all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you are subscribed. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Leave a positive review on the platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and engage in the comments in the YouTube comments. So thank you again. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I will see you guys in the new year. Be on the lookout for my next review with me video episode on YouTube in which I share my opinion, my takes, and do a brief recap of whatever show or movie or anything else that I'm watching. I've been releasing some episodes about Married at First Sight. So if you're into that content, go ahead and watch those videos and share them with a friend. All right, you guys, goodbye.